Welcome to the NIH Freezer Management Program training video. This course will take about 10 minutes, and by the end of this course we want you to know why freezer management is important, about the NIH freezer policy, how to record your freezer failures in the NIH Freezer Failure Tracking Database, and about the NIH Freezer Challenge. First, let's take a look at why freezer management is important. Managing freezers properly, which includes regular preventative maintenance and locating freezers with sufficient ventilation and cooling, increases freezer reliability, reduces energy consumption, reduces operating costs, and reduces greenhouse gas emissions. Freezers are one of the most energy-intensive pieces of laboratory equipment. One old, unmaintained ultra-low temperature freezer can consume as much energy as an entire household. This results in high operating costs. A ULT freezer that is not ENERGY STAR certified costs approximately $986 per year in electricity and cooling costs. The electricity consumption results in Scope 2 greenhouse gas emissions that are emitted when the electricity is produced. A ULT freezer can result in 6.4 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions in a year. It will take 7 acres of forest to sequester the carbon produced by one of these ULT freezers. With 5,800 freezers in service at the NIH, the total energy consumption, operating costs, and greenhouse gas emissions really add up. Recognizing the impact of freezers, the NIH released the Freezer Policy, Manual Chapter 26101-16, to manage ULT freezers at the NIH to increase freezer reliability, reduce energy consumption, reduce operating costs, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Manual Chapter 26101-16 details how to manage freezers throughout their entire life cycle. The sections of the policy include selection, inventory, placement, maintenance, inspections, disposal, and responsibilities. We are going to go through each section in further detail. When purchasing a new freezer at the NIH, you must select an ENERGY STAR certified model. ENERGY STAR certified models consume approximately half of the energy of freezers without an ENERGY STAR certification. This is also a requirement of the Federal Acquisition Regulation. As a federal agency, the FAR requires purchasing ENERGY STAR products when they are available. Go to ENERGYSTAR.gov for a list of ENERGY STAR certified ULT freezers, lab-grade freezers, and lab-grade refrigerators. The NIH Business System is used to keep track of freezers at the NIH to manage compliance, schedule inspections, and plan freezer initiatives. All ULT freezers must be entered in the NBS database and have an NBS barcode decal. ULT freezers must be placed in locations with sufficient cooling and ventilation for efficient airflow to reduce the amount of work from the compressor. Hot air is exhausted from the back of the freezer, so there needs to be at least 5 inches of space behind the freezer. Objects on top of the freezer can also restrict airflow and pose a potential safety hazard by preventing sprinklers from being able to cover an entire room. The NIH freezer policy requires ULT freezers to have a preventative maintenance every 6 months. Dust on the compressor can restrict airflow and bring dust to the condenser coils. Ice buildups can prevent doors from closing properly and restrict heat transfer. These issues cause the compressor to work harder, reduce freezer reliability, and reduce efficiency. Most PMs are contracted out. Contact the NIH Division of Scientific Equipment and Instrumentation Services for more information. If your lab chooses to conduct PMs internally, follow the guidance on the NEMS freezer maintenance section. The freezer policy requires ORF to conduct inspections to ensure that freezers are compliant with the Manual Chapter 26101-16. If deficiencies are found, ORF is to notify freezer owners to correct deficiencies. If deficiencies are not corrected, the policy describes the process to escalate to IC leaders. When freezers are at the end of their life or no longer needed, dispose of freezers in accordance with the NIH Office of Logistics and Acquisition Operations, OLAO, Property Reutilization and Disposal section. NIH Manual Chapter 26101-16 requires labs to keep accurate electronic records for ULT freezers, including freezer acquisitions, freezer inventory, maintenance records, and disposal records. Review the NIH Freezer Policy, Manual Chapter 26101-16 online for additional details about the policy and the sections that we just covered in this training. Next, let's take a look at the NIH Freezer Failure Tracking Database. Freezers are integral to the NIH. To understand more about why and when freezers fail, the NIH built a ULT Freezer Failure Database. The Freezer Failure Database is located online in the NEMS Freezer Management section. To ensure accurate data, please record all ULT freezer failures in this database. Questions we would like to answer are: when do freezers fail? What are the most reliable freezers? How does preventative maintenance affect reliability? And does the temperature setting matter? Every entry helps us understand more about freezer failures, so even if you don't have all the information, enter as much information as you can. Some of the questions include: freezer make and model, how did the freezers fail, how old is the freezer, what was the temperature setting, and how often did the freezer have preventative maintenances. To increase freezer reliability and reduce energy consumption, labs can take freezer management to the next level by participating in the NIH Freezer Challenge. The NIH Freezer Challenge is a voluntary program that is held annually to increase freezer reliability and reduce energy consumption from freezers and refrigerators at the NIH. The NIH Freezer Challenge includes Freezer Challenge initiatives, and labs can choose which initiatives they want to complete. Some of the challenge initiatives include setting the temperature of ULT freezers to -70°C, discarding samples, defrosting freezers, sharing freezer space, transferring samples to LN2 freezers, maintaining an electronic sample inventory, and retiring unnecessary freezers. The NIH compiles the results from the NIH Freezer Challenge and competes as an organization in the International Freezer Challenge. Additionally, individual NIH labs have competed on their own in the individual lab category. The NIH has won as both an organization, and the NIH Laboratory of Cell Biology has won individually. Here's a certificate the NIH received for winning the 2020 International Freezer Challenge. Take the challenge. The Freezer Challenge is held annually from January 1st to May 1st. Visit the NIH Freezer Challenge site for more information about the challenge, labs that have participated, past results, and to sign your lab up. A complete challenge guide with more details about each of the challenge initiatives is also available on the Freezer Challenge site. Once you are ready, sign your lab up to take part in the next Freezer Challenge. To summarize, freezer management is important. By following Manual Chapter 26101-16, recording freezer failures, and joining the NIH Freezer Challenge, we can increase freezer reliability, reduce energy consumption, reduce operating costs, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Thanks for completing the NIH Freezer Management Program training. For more information, visit the NIH Freezer Management Program site at the link that is shown.